my god. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I need to catch my breath. Okay. Hi. Hi. My name's Jenny. You might have noticed. And I guess we're stuck here for a little bit. So hey, let's talk about autism and the sunk cost fallacy. What do you want to bet? I can make that the most interesting thing you've heard all day. Would you take that bet? At minute 57? I'm sorry. It's just the idle nonsense of a better. You see, I'm neurotypical. Or at least I'm playing a character of someone who is. You'll make sense of it in a moment. Yeah. Okay. I'm leaving that in, but also, future me, cut that out. This isn't a joke. Cut that out. Cut that. No, stop. Okay, stop. Don't record. Don't keep record. So, here's what's going to happen with this video. You may already have noticed that some fuckery is afoot. And it's not going to stop being afoot. I'm so sorry. I thought you wanted an interesting video. Oh, you sweet summer child. But it's already winter on this story. You see, this will be a story in 5 acts. And you're already in the 4th, before you've even realized it's the 1st. Now here is how it goes. There is a bit of an issue with gambling and, well, the ability to gamble. If I may pull up my own words, for I was just writing about this today. Ah, right, yes, let's get a sweet there's another one for the blooper reel. Enjoy that one, gaff freaks, gafreaks. Anyways, Gefreakazoid out. Gambling, ableism, and sunk cost. Okay, sorry. Gambling, ableism, and sunken cost. Happy Halloween! I'm so sorry. I knew it. I knew. It's just... I hope you enjoyed that one. It's from me to you. It's a little curse. Anyways. So, gambling itself is a sequence. Are you following me so far? Number 1. I cannot do this with 100% chance. There is no P equals 1.00 situation for this. There is no guaranteed win. I cannot say every roll of the dice will be this or not. Here, for instance, a coin. Flip a coin. And tell me what it's going to be. Now, you might think that that's inconsequential, right? Maybe inconsequential? But, here's the thing about that. There's a form of energy that releases and or could store. It's called surprisal. We'll come back to this later. Surprisal is a very unsurprisingly interesting term. It comes from information theory, the Shannon entropy, which is a specific form of the Stirling approximation, is extremely useful. Effectively, it says that roughly there is a quantifiable, measurable amount of energy that is exchanged when a coin flips and lands on one outcome or the other, depending on how surprising the result is. Thus the term surprisal. Now here is where it gets really interesting, because you might think that term is misleading. And you would be incorrect. This is why when you observe something, quantum things change. You've absorbed the information that allowed it to be a superposition. You've now created dual positions, a position inside of the state and the position inside of the observer of the state, which formerly was collapsed into the superposition, has now been separated into position and observer of position. Do you follow me so far? Okay, so effectively, if you rolled a dice and you were able to call the result, the surprisal would be equivalent to, 1 divided by 1/6, or 6 surprisal units. Quartleys, I believe they're called. Hartleys? Maybe I was thinking of clovers. Who knows? I'll just keep doing a frisky jig while your mind turns into a pretzel. Transcendental cha-cha-cha. Anyways, as you try to keep your mind open, do remember that physics can be simpler and therefore more complicated than you could ever imagine. And that is something that should be a relief, because it means that we've already achieved the belt loop for the plate trick. So Bohr and Einstein did this trick. Basically, Einstein thought everything had to be solved for. There was a number beneath everything. You had to be a special smart boy. And Bohr was like, here, I'm going to twist a belt as far as it'll go in my hands. And if I can keep twisting, as far as it'll go one whole more time, as if it were 180 degrees and I turned it back to 360, and I did not move my hand, and the belt returned to slack, well then, do you think I can do it? What do you want to bet? And that was kind of the argument they would have a lot. And do you know who won that bet? Was the guy named Bohr, oddly. Einstein won a lot of those bets, but Bohr's belt always turned all the way around. Now that phenomenon is known as data collapse. It means that you've reached an extremity, and it starts to loop back around back into simplicity. The additional complexity is complexity of reduction. In other words, of simplification. Increasingly complex simplification, in other words. It is an equals sign that has all of mathematics packed into it. Sergeant Deltritus. Book I don't remember. You can go look it up. You're a clever clogs. I believe in you. So, we only have about 10 minutes. What do you mean? Oh, you're right. I said it was 15 minutes, didn't I? Yeah, you're clever. You remember that. Thank you. Thank you for remembering that for me. Okay, so we only have 5 minutes left, give or take. I'm sorry for taking up so much of your time, by the way. I'm really I just have this curse. It's like some sort of time curse, I guess, where things loop around, and I know exactly how long it's gonna take, and you're just kind of stuck with me for it. but it's all going to be out of order, and the way it's out of order doesn't make sense when you're doing it, but it's going to make sense in post. A post? Oh, there's no way I could explain that without sounding crazy. Yeah. So you ever heard about Narnia? Long story. Anyways, so where was I? My point being, there's this thing called the sunk cost fallacy, and there's an issue with gambling, autism, and neurodivergence. This is the issue. People who are neurodivergent, such as myself, don't really engage with the sunk cost fallacy quite the same way as other people do. This should be obvious on the tin, right? The name, attention deficit, yes, means that I'm not going to be able to put the same attention for the same concentrated period of time as you are. However, the autism, my specific brand, actually, means that I'm going to be kind of clever at other things. And I think you'll find that pretty interesting in the long run, if you're willing to be patient with me. So, I said this talk was going to be only 15 minutes long, and I know we only have about 3 minutes left. Thing is, hear me out. This was just the introduction to a video essay that's actually pretty good, if I do say so myself. This is the introduction to an essay about whether or not you've managed to figure out the beginning of this essay and how confident you are in that bet. Rule 1 of gambling. I could not do this with a 100% guarantee. Rule 2. It is possible. It is not a 0% chance. Rule 3. Since my chances are a decimal probability between 1 and 0 bounded by rules 1 and 2, there is no way to say for sure that I can lose either. Rule 4. Now, every time I am able to do something, it becomes a possibility of being disproportionately rewarded. Fortunate, read bequeathing of a fortune or fortunes. Do you see where I'm going with this yet? https://pubmed.ncbi.nlm.nih, that's nih.gov/300142449/ sunk cost effect in individuals with autism spectrum disorder. PubMed article. This is now where I reveal the title card. The sunk cost effect, an interesting and well-known decision bias, is pervasive in real life and has been studied in various disciplines. In this study, we modified a task exemplifying the sunk cost effect and used it to evaluate this behavior in individuals with autism spectrum disorder, ASD. The control group exhibited a typical sunk cost effect in our task. We found that the sunk cost effect was lower in the ASD group than in the control group. The results agree with the previous evidence of reduced sensitivity to context stimuli in individuals with ASD and extend this finding to the context of the sunk cost effect. Our findings are useful in addressing the practical implications on their socioeconomic behavior. Keywords: autism spectrum disorder, semicolon, behavioral economics, semicolon, decision making, Greek question mark, sunk cost effect, period. Sunk cost is neurotypical, statistically speaking. All right, So, this paper, and I want to be clear, I have not rehearsed this. I have not even read this paper ahead of time. Because I'm calling my shot, and you get to hear in real time whether or not I actually called my shot. So that's a little treat for you, you know, the audience, to see whether or not I was on the money. Anyways, let's jump into it. We've gotten this far, right? The sunk cost effect in individuals with autism spectrum disorder. By 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 authors. Jeez. I feel bad for Hidehiko Takahashi-san. Gomen. Abstract. The sunk cost effect, an interesting and well-known decision bias, is pervasive in real life and has been studied in various disciplines. In this study, we modified a task exemplifying the sunk cost effect and used it to evaluate this behavior in individuals with autism spectrum disorder, hereby abbreviated as ASD. The control group exhibited a typical sunk cost effect in our task. We found that the sunk cost effect was lower in the ASD group than in the control group. The results agree with the previous evidence of reduced sensitivity to context stimuli in individuals with ASD and extend this finding to the context of the sunk cost effect. Our findings are useful in addressing the practical implications on their socioeconomic behavior. Introduction. Decision-making, which is the process resulting in the selection of a belief or a course of action among several alternative possibilities, is central to daily functioning. Individuals with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, which is characterized by altered social interaction and atypical interests, frequently show altered decision-making in various situations. This, in turn, can influence their economic and social functioning. Studies on decision-making and behavioral economics have rapidly expanded in recent years and have demonstrated that humans are susceptible to various types of biases in decision-making. In line with their advancements, these disciplines have been used to assess altered decision-making behavior in individuals with ASD. For instance, previous studies have shown that loss-gain framing effects were reduced when individuals with ASD made choices between gambles, have recently demonstrated that individuals with ASD were less influenced by decoy options in an attraction effect task. Our work has also shown that sensitivity to context changes under ambiguity was reduced in individuals with ASD. These previous findings are in agreement regarding the fact that individuals with ASD show reduced sensitivity to context stimuli and make more rational and consistent choices in experimental situations. Along this line, Brosnan et al. Have proposed a dual process theory on account of ASD. A dual process theory account of ASD. There, now I've said both. That is, reasoning by individuals with ASD can be characterized by reduced intuitive, type 1, and greater reflective, type 2, processing. In this study, we investigated whether the reduced context sensitivity that characterizes ASD extends to decision-making in the context of the sunk cost effect. The sunk cost effect is the tendency to continue an investment or take an action even though it has higher future costs than benefits, if costs of time, money, or effort were previously incurred. A clear example of the sunk cost effect was proposed by Arks and Bloomer in 1985. Suppose that you have spent $100 on a ticket for a trip to Michigan. Several weeks later, you buy a ticket for a $50 trip to Wisconsin. You think you will enjoy the Wisconsin trip more than the Michigan trip. When you are putting your just purchased Wisconsin trip ticket in your wallet, you notice that the Michigan trip and the Wisconsin trip are for the same weekend. It is too late to refund either ticket. You must use one ticket and not the other. Which trip do you go on? According to an assumption of traditional economics theory, decisions should be made on the basis of costs and benefits expected to arise in the future from the choice of each option. According to this assumption, everyone would be expected to choose the trip considerably more enjoyable, the $50 trip to Wisconsin. However, approximately half the participants in the experiment chose the Michigan trip instead, which had incurred the larger sunken cost. Considering that an invested sunk cost cannot be recovered, a rational forward-looking decision maker should ignore sunk costs. However, non-human species, humans, companies, and even governments often do not ignore sunk costs during decision making. For example, one is likely to wear a piece of ugly clothing if it has cost him more money. People who pay less at an all-you-can-eat pizza restaurant because of a surprise reduction in the price tend to eat a smaller amount of pizza. The sunk cost effect is pervasive in real life and influences many types of socioeconomic behavior such as entertainment, investments, management, and interpersonal relations. Therefore, understanding how individuals with ASD behave under sunk costs can potentially reveal new insights into the practical implications of their socioeconomic behavior. However, to the best of our knowledge, no study has investigated the sunk cost effect in individuals with ASD. If the tendency of individuals with ASD to prioritize local information and to be relatively insensitive to context stimuli extends to decision-making in the context of the sunk cost effect, they would be less influenced by sunk costs and would make more rational choices under such situations. Correspondingly, we hypothesize that the sunk cost effect would be reduced in individuals with ASD compared to those without ASD. In this study, we modified a task that clearly shows the sunk cost effect, Arks and Bloomer 1895, Fujino et al. 2016b, and used it to test our hypothesis. Methods. Participants. 29 adults with ASD and 29 healthy control adults participated in this study. The sample size was determined on the basis of previous studies on the decision-making of individuals with ASD. Participants with ASD were recruited from a database of volunteers who had received a clinical diagnosis of ASD in the outpatient units of Showa University Karasuyama Hospital. The diagnostic procedure to identify individuals with ASD was the same in our previous studies. Briefly, at least 3 experienced psychiatrists and a clinical psychologist assessed all the patients using the criteria of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 4th edition text revision, DSM-4-TR. The assessment comprised participant interviews about developmental history, present illness, life history, and family history. Patients were also asked to bring suitable informants who had known them in early childhood. This process required approximately 3 hours. A diagnosis of ASD was made only when there was a consensus between the psychiatrist and clinical psychologist. At the time of testing, an experienced psychiatrist evaluated psychiatric comorbidity by using the Structural Clinical Interview for DSM-4 Axis 1 Disorders, SCID. No participants with ASD satisfied the diagnostic criteria for substance use disorder, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia. The healthy controls were recruited from the general population in the Tokyo area via advertisements and acquaintances. They did not meet the criteria for any psychiatric disorders according to the evaluation of an experienced psychiatrist using SCID. The control and ASD groups were matched for age, gender, current smoking status, education, and estimated full-scale intelligence quotient level. Previous studies reported that IQ level could have an impact on decision-making under sunk costs. No participant with ASD or control had any history of head trauma, serious medical or surgical illnesses, or substance abuse. The ASD symptom severity and the IQ levels of the participants with ASD had been evaluated before the study. With regard to the severity of ASD symptoms, the Autistic Diagnostic Observation Schedule, ADOS, was used. The ADOS is a research standardized test that provides an index of autistic symptoms observed on a specific occasion. The IQ levels of the participants with ASD were evaluated using either the Wesher Adult Intelligence Scale 3rd Edition WAIS-3 or Wechsler, I'm going to leave that one in, Adult Intelligence Scale Revised WAIS-R. Although there are several minor changes in the WAIS-3 from the WAIS-R, e.g. more items, the number of core items remains largely unchanged. Therefore, we considered them to be essentially identical in the full-scale IQ measurement of individuals with ASD. Each participant with ASD was considered high-functioning because of his or her full-scale IQ score being above 80. The IQ scores of the controls were estimated using a Japanese version of the National Adult Reading Test, JART, on the basis of previous findings that JART successfully predicted full-scale IQ scores in healthy populations. This study was approved by the Committee on Medical Ethics of Kyoto University and the Institutional Review Board of Showa University Karasuyama Hospital, and was conducted in accordance with the Code of Ethics of the World Medical Association. After providing a complete description of the study to all participants, written informed consent was obtained from all of them. Sunk cost effect task. We modified a clear example of the sunk cost effect described in the introduction, Figure 1. The task was similar to that used in our previous study. Participants were initially instructed to select their preferred option from 2 travel destinations, preference phase. Thereafter, participants received the following instructions. You mistakenly purchased both of the tickets. You cannot get a refund, and the departure date is the same for both. Which one will you choose? The task comprised 46 trials. It comprised 46 trials. In half of the trials, control condition, the costs of the 2 tickets were identical. 23 different pairs of destinations in various countries, for example, New York versus Los Angeles, London versus Manchester, Kamakura versus Hakone. Kamakura tai Hakone? So ne. Were presented. Hatsugen saremashita. Each destination was presented only once. All 23 destination pairs are shown in Table S1 in the supplementary information. The costs of the tickets were realistically defined from among 5 values: 30,000 yen, 40,000 yen, 5,000 yen, 8,000 yen, and 10,000 yen. Sorry, that's 50,000, 80,000, and 100,000 yen. 100 Japanese yen corresponds to approximately $1 US. It's a little closer to like 380 equals $4, something like that. I don't know. I haven't checked in a while. In the other half of the trials, sunk cost condition, the participants selected from the same destination pairs and ticket costs. However, tickets for the destinations not selected by participants in the preference phase, i.e. non-preferred, were presented as 1.5 times more expensive than tickets for the preferred, i.e. chosen in the preference phase, destinations. A decision maker sufficiently influenced by the sunk costs would switch his or her choice, or theirs, or its, depending on this condition. The trial order was randomized across participants. The time course is shown in Figure 1. All participants were quizzed about how well they understood the task, supplementary methods, and practiced at least once on a shorter version of the task. Only after they successfully completed the quiz were they allowed to proceed with the experiment. The experiment was conducted using E-Prime software. Psychology Software Tools Incorporated, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, United States. Yes, I almost said Pepe Sylvia. Statistical analyses. On the basis of our previous study, Fujino et al. 2016b, the strength of each participant's sunk cost effect was estimated as follows. The sunk cost effect score is equal to the number of trials where the option that would be enjoyed less was chosen under sunk cost condition over the number of trials in the sunk cost condition, minus the number of trials where the option that would be enjoyed less was chosen under control condition, divided by the number of trials in the control condition. And this number, being a decimal, is multiplied by 100 to make it a percent, and therefore a probability or a score, the sunk cost effect score. A higher sunk cost effect score indicates a stronger sunk cost effect. I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted to make a June Inferno reference right now. You have no idea. Put this in the bloopers. Oh my god. I'm so tempted. Oh my god. Anyways. Furthermore, to further explore how the participants behaved when considering sunk costs, we separated the trials. What is with that word, trials? Trials on the basis of ticket costs. Previous studies have shown that healthy subjects are more susceptible to the sunk cost effect when larger sunk costs are incurred. Bogdanov et al. 2017, Haller and Schwab 2014. High-cost trials, trials with costs of the preferred options chosen in the preference phase, being 80,000 yen or 100,000 yen, 22 trials, 11 trials for sunk cost condition, 11 trials for control condition, versus low-cost trials, trials with costs of the preferred options chosen in the preference phase, being 30,000 yen, 40,000 yen, or 50,000 yen. 24 trials, 12 trials for the sunk cost condition, 12 trials for the control condition. When we calculated the When we calculated the difference in the sunk cost effect score between the high cost and the low cost trials, sunk cost effect score in the high cost trials, sunk cost effect score in the low cost trials, open and close parentheses, period. Scrolling. Finally, we performed correlation analyses between the sunk cost effect score, the difference in the sunk cost effect score between the high cost and low cost trials, and the severity of clinical symptoms evaluated during the ADOS, Communication Subscale Score, Social Interaction Subscale Score, and Communication Subscale plus Social Interaction Subscale Score, across the participants with ASD after controlling for age, gender, and IQ levels. Because some of our continuous measures were not normally distributed, Shapiro-Wilk test. The Shapiro-Wilk test, P less than 0.05. We chose Mann-Whitney tests for comparing group differences and Spearman's rank correlations for the correlation analyses. For analyses of variances, ANOVA, we performed robust ANOVA using WRS2's software package, Mayer et al. 2016. Within the statistical software R, our core team 2016, which is comparable to the non-parametric analyses applied in the current study on the basis of the previous studies. For example, Desir and Karakatin 2018, Krzyzanowska. I'm so sorry. I did get that in 3. That second Z. I really could not see that second Z very easily, and once I did, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Et al. 2017. Te et al. 2018. Parentheses period. Specifically, we applied the BW trim function, which returns the test statistic value of Q that is approximately F distributed. Krzyzanowska. Et al. 2017, Mayer et al. 2016, Te et al. 2018. Statistical analyses, except for Robusta ANOVA, were performed using SPSS 21, IBM, RMonk, New York, USA, go to hell. Don't at me. Results were considered statistically significant at p less than 0.05 two-tailed distribution. Results. 2 participants with ASD were excluded from the analyses. Yes, I was about to say autism, but then I realized that it said ASD. Shut up, okay? I'm doing this in one take. I'm making a point. Okay, it's just okay. We've gone too far. We've gone too far. 2 participants with ASD were excluded from the analyses because even under the control condition, they frequently chose the option that was expected to be less enjoyable. Suggesting that they did not understand the task. They chose the less enjoyable option at rates of 56.5 and 52.2% each, which were extremely high compared with the rates of the participants, which are greater than 3 standard deviation, parentheses SD, close parentheses, plus or minus the mean. It should be plus minus. That's plus minus. Maybe the other one was plus minus. We will never know. Thus, data from the 27 participants with ASD and 29 controls were analyzed age range 20 to 47 years. Demographic and clinical data are shown in Table 1. There were no significant differences between the groups in age, gender, current smoking status, education, and estimated full-scale IQ levels. In total, 12 participants with ASD were administered psychotropic drugs comprising anxiolytics. 6 of them. N equals 6. Anxiolytics. Anxiolytic. Axolotl. Antidepressants, N equals 5. Antipsychotics, N equals 5. Anti-epileptic. You're not supposed to stumble over that one. Anti-epileptics, N equals 1. Hypnotic drugs, N equals 6. Of course you got that one right. And other psychotropic drugs, N equals 3. Overall, the participants, N equals 56. Control 29, ASD 27. Performed the task well, missing an average of only... let's take a good look at this graph. The graphs, it looks like the audiogram I just made when I was looking at the graph. Here, you can see it in post, which means now, because I didn't post. And that's how editing works. Editing is time... Oh my god. Gordo experience requiem. It's not called Golden Win, it's experience. Anyways, 0.11 plus minus 0.37. That's mean plus minus standard deviation. Trials, total of 46 trials. Briefly, a missed trial is a trial in which a participant could not make a decision within the time the option was presented, which is 5 seconds. Figure 1. There was no significant difference between the groups in the number of missed trials. P equals 0.21. That's probability. We also found no significant group differences in the reaction time in the preference phase. Probability equals 90%. Figure 2a shows the reaction time in the sunk cost condition and the control condition in both groups. A robust two-way mixed ANOVA, the only real way. Let it be known, a robust two-way mixed ANOVA. If you have no takeaway from this, a robust two-way mixed ANOVA revealed the main effects of both group. Q equals 7.00, P equals 0.013, and condition Q equals 58.29, P is less than 0.01, as well as a group by condition interaction. Q equals 13.33, P is less than 0.01. Post hoc Mann-Whitney tests revealed that this interaction was driven by a group difference in the reaction time under the sunk cost condition. Control 1.60 plus minus 0.57. ASD 1.10 plus minus 0.38. P probability, or I guess P hacking, P factor, P is that statistical timey do confidence. Hey, that's probably my best joke of the whole thing. If you're checking the time code, you're a bit late to click away. I'm sorry. You're kind of stuck in this with me. Okay, so let's keep going. Whereas no such difference was observed in the control condition. Control 0.96 plus minus 0.18 ASD. 0.91 plus minus 0.28. P equals 0.42. Oof. The mean sunk cost effect score in the control individuals was 58.5 plus minus 28.5%, thus indicating that their decisions were considerably influenced by sunk costs. This susceptibility to the sunk cost effect was significantly reduced in the ASD group, 33.4 plus minus 39.9%, compared with that in the control group, a P less than 0.01, figure 2b. Considering that 12 participants with ASD took psychotropic drugs, we compared the sunk cost effect score of participants with ASD who were not taking psychotropic drugs, n equals 15, with that of the control participants. The analysis did not materially change the result. The sunk cost effect score among the participants with ASD who were not taking psychotropic drugs was marginally significantly reduced compared to the control group. God, what a terrible sentence. P equals 0.08. In addition, to take into account the participant's preference for a city as a possible confounding factor, confounding, meaning it will mean that you found two things at once, they're convoluted, the solutions share the same volume, they have the same location. Confounding, you found two things at once, kind of easy to think it's just one thing. Anyways, if that's what you learned from this video, good for you. I'm proud of you. And drink water. It's almost been a half hour. You should drink some water. Anyways, in addition, to take into account the participant's preference for a city as a possible confounding factor, we performed the additional analyses using the reaction time, minus 1 millisecond, in the preference phase. The analyses did not materially change the results. Please see supplementary results for details, or Project Libitna? To further explore how the participants behaved when considering sunk costs, we separated the trials on the basis of ticket costs, grinding, as described in the methods. turning an axle. The difference in the sunk cost effect score, bolt head, between the high cost trials, next verse, bagel, and the low cost trials was significantly reduced in the EST group compared to the control group, Cohen. Control 15.1 plus minus 24.9%, AST 0.8 plus minus 17.6%, P equals 0.02, figure 3A, Hanayorisaki, you stopped listening already. Minute 31 is 20 seconds away. The significance of this observation was confirmed in an interaction analysis showing that the sunk cost effect score was less influenced by the ticket costs in the AST group than in the high control group. I'm sorry, in the control group. Wow. And there is the Freudian slip of the video. Congratulations, you found it at exactly minute 31. Oh, you're so clever. Anyways, this is found with robust ANOVA. Group control AST times ticket costs, high, low. Q equals 4.37, P equals 0.045, figure 3B. It's a very busy figure. We're going to be spending a lot of time on this figure. Also, it strikes me I said video. But this isn't going to be the start of the video. This is a bit inside of a different video. Oh no. Oh well. I wonder if I'll time both of those correctly. We'll have to wait and see. 3, 2, 1. Thereafter, we performed correlation analyses between the sunk cost effect score, the difference in the sunk cost effect score between the high cost and low cost trials, and the severity of clinical symptoms evaluated using ADOS, Communication Subscale Score, Social Interaction Subscale Score, and Communication Subscale plus Social Interaction Subscale Score. Is that like a cross multiplication? Are we doing, is that joint probabilities? Are we doing covariance on the covariance? Is that the double ANOVA? Is that what puts the double in ANOVA? I told you, it's the most important part of the video. You should have paid attention. Why didn't you pay attention? Oh my god, do you have ADHD or something? Anyways, among the AST participants, we found no significant relationship between the sunk cost effect score, the difference in the sunk cost effect score between the high cost and low cost trials, and the severity of the clinical symptoms. All P is greater than 50%. That's it's better than coin flip. So, imagine you're stuck in an elevator with someone for let's call it exactly 15 minutes. No reason. And for these, again, precisely 15 minutes, which have already started, this person who you're stuck in the elevator with has decided to start going on this random hypothetical about being stuck in an elevator while you're in the elevator with them. And they're not really addressing you. They're just kind of talking to the air. And for some reason, they're convinced you're going to be stuck in there for exactly 15 minutes, and nothing you can do can convince them otherwise. Something weird about that, right? So you begin to wonder why this person is so difficult to convince. What is it about 15 minutes that makes it that they are going to be correct? You know, what part of 15 minutes is essential to the mission that they are attempting? Well, that has something to do, of course, with how you tell a story. Hello, my name is Jenny Azoff. I am a chemical analyst. I studied quantum chemistry. I've studied solar chemistry, photophysics, photocatalytics, material science and engineering, fiber optics, quantum chemistry, crystallography. I need to stop naming things because I don't really have much to show for much of them, because I spent too much of it actually trying to save the environment, and unfortunately there wasn't a lot of grant money in that, and so I got sick before that actually turned into anything, and then a certain pandemic started, which put an end to that. And then I broke both my ankles, actually. Well, I didn't. Someone else did. One after the other. It's kind of a long story. Anyways, I only have 15 minutes, this person goes on to say. And they tell you, for some reason, they're convinced that they're talking to you through a screen. I know that you can't reach out to me, and you can't just say whatever you want in response to me as I say this. As it were, you are speaking to a crass homunculus that is echoed through time by a span of almost exactly 15 minutes. Now, here is the issue. The story has begun. You've gotten this far in the story. You're beginning to wonder how long the story goes. You've already checked the time code. You realized at least once, if not twice, if not for the third and most important time, just now, that this is going to be much longer than 15 minutes. Luke Skywalker. Hi. That was minute 52. By way of introduction, this is a video essay about playing cards and magic tricks. In other words, I'm kind of autistic, and I have pretty severe ADHD. And I'm going to be frank and upfront with you. I have a real brain injury from when I was about 7 months old. You might hear that I'm pretty lucid, but you could also hear at times that there are certain things I struggle with, and that is just the nature of things. You could think of it as a damaged switchboard. However, this damaged switchboard got into 2 different PhD programs. One of them was going to produce a, God, how much of it was piss? Also a donut. I think it was 90% piss by volume. You can't demonetize this, by the way, for that, because that's the technical term. It was 90% crystalline urea as a reagent. And I was going to use that as a substrate for a passive solar fuel generator, which would take water and the CO2 dissolved in water and the light that shines on water and the dust that I would make that you could sprinkle into the water as if you were feeding a fish. And it would then, accordingly, bubble out oxygen and leave methanol, which could be distilled out in time. It could even evaporate out and be collected fractionally. And it is a high energy chemical feedstock, which is a term that doesn't sound entirely like what it sounds like, but it makes sense. It means that it's kind of at the top of the chemical food chain. So it's got a lot of energy in its bonds. Energy that's difficult to trick into those bonds and very easy to break out of those bonds. Meaning that the cascade sort of goes down from there. And once you get it up there, that's a good trick. That's a very high shelf to put it on. And so basically, that alone could fix, or at least go towards fixing some CO2 stuff. It could literally be something anyone could do. Do you think you could sprinkle magic sparkly piss dust into a fish tank that you keep in the sun as if it is a plant? Do you think you could do that? And then sell the methanol back to someone and be like, yeah, we don't even need money. Money is made up. Methanol can be the new money. Who frickin' cares? Point being is that you could literally be scrubbing CO2 from the atmosphere and purifying water and making new oxygen and generating a very valuable substance. And you could do it using pure piss. Which is to say, hey, how long have I been going? And how are we nearing exactly 56 minutes? And I still haven't gotten to the point. Wavelength is a film about... Okay, no. I did that just to fake you out. Come on. You know me better than that. You know me better than that by now. We've been in this elevator for almost an hour. Come on. You know where we're at. So, having called my shot, and having made good on it, you probably are taking this moment to double check my time codes and realize that every 15 minutes probably has a little surprise for you. I know the first one does. I'm not going to check the other ones because, you know, I like to leave little surprises for myself too, but I have patterns. I'm a percussionist, among other things. So I have a bit of an impeccable sense of timing. Anyways, knowing I have about 3 minutes left, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly. And then I'm going to continue that paper later. In, again, one more run. Because, I'm not sure if you could tell by now. This is the part where I'm going to explain the point of this. Thank you, if you watched this far. I hope it doesn't take much longer after the 1 hour mark. And you'll be able to measure it pretty easily, if so. Because I'm autistic. And I get distracted easily, and I have ADHD, so I had to move things around a bit. Anyways, the point was that I noticed that gambling communities, just in general, it was kind of like an itch. Why there are these communities where gambling sort of worms its way into it, like fandom communities, especially ones that are friendly to my specific autism, that just kind of, it always bothers me what sort of starkly different behavior you see when you go from one sphere to the other. And so I was thinking, well, one of them is largely creative. Yes, I'm playing with my hair as I say this. I know you can probably hear it. So one of them is largely creative, and the other is largely exploitative. And I thought that there was something weird about that, just because why are they sorting themselves so well? What's going on here? And I asked them basically at one of the servers why a mechanic was like that. I tried to do it in a poetic way, and I was insulted for my head injury without them knowing, but people just use slurs all the time. It's very hurtful. You should stop doing that. You never know who you're talking to. And they just kind of doubled down. And that was when I realized, oh shit, This ableism that I just saw is part of the doubling down I just saw. That's part of what makes neurotypicals so fucking weird. Oh my god. I said it exactly 1 hour, 0.00 minutes, 0.00 seconds. Yeah, I paused to make sure I checked that. What do you think I am? Neurotypical? So, the thing I found was basically that what I wanted to do and what they wanted to do was very different. And this is something I noticed a very long time ago while playing my favorite anime games. Was that I would be interested in learning the character names and seeing all of their techniques in action and seeing whether or not they talk to each other differently when they fought in the game, as if they were like real characters. I really wanted to see how far the creators went, how much they believed in their characters and thought these were real people. I'm not sure if you've heard of the company Fisher-Price. I was a Fisher-Price kid. If you've seen the Fisher-Price Cartoon Network Wacky Racers toy, that's me. Yeah.
Wow, the wind blew.
Anyways, getting distracted easily. It's the ADHD. Point being, these ads don't really work the same on me. Even beyond my autism, I got some life experience that means that I just kind of am always looking at it pretty cynically, pretty critically, always doing a bit of a paranoid reparative reading, especially whenever I sense anything like an advertisement, which is like half to 90% of what you see on TV these days. It's probably why you're still listening to this video if you're listening to it, even though you've been here for 2 minutes and 21 seconds beyond a full human hour? What the hell is wrong with both of us? You might have autism. You might have no autism. Who knows? I would say the difference is in how many times you broke up your viewing of this and whether or not you feel obligated to keep watching because of how much time there is left. You see, I am going to finish reading this paper, yeah? And I'm going to cite it, obviously. However, have you noticed the point I'm making? Water sausages. I have autism and ADHD. I'm quite scientifically literate. I have a master's degree. Technicality, because it was going to be a PhD, but my advisor died, and that wasn't even the other PhD. Bit of a long story. I'm good at long stories now. It happens when you get them instead of degrees. Anyways, speaking of trying to monetize my failure, hi, I have a Ko-Fi. How's that for a segue? I'm very clever. Please subscribe. You don't even need to click on the Ko-Fi. It's in the description with the citation. You're gonna look at the citation. You're gonna see the Ko-Fi link. I'm happy enough with that. You don't even need to up. You can downvote because you think that's shitty. Even though I'm gonna starve if I don't do that. Distraction. It's fine, but like, I'm doing that. I did it. You're watching the video where I did that. So, if you could please just consider donating, like if I gave you a chuckle, if I surprised you, if that's worth any money to you, if any of the information's worth any money to you, I'm starving. Could you help? I have a Ko-Fi. Thank you very much. Ad read over? Is that an ad? Dear God, my taxes suck badly enough. Okay. Okay. So that's about my 5 minutes. However, before they're up, I do want to... No. Wait. So, the premise. You see, I'm trying to make sure that I keep to my shtick. Which is the only way I can actually get through things. I use the autism to destroy the ADHD, you understand. My power level is beyond your imagining. I have the power of both. Kami, soshite anime, watashi wa Mitoko da. That's gonna need subtitles. I'm probably not gonna make them for you. Have fun. I also probably didn't say that right. Did I mention I have brain damage? Anyways. So, the point of this is that I have autism and ADHD, but I am extremely scientifically literate. I've made many presentations on the matter. I will make a video of one of them if this gets enough upvotes. Say more than 50. If it gets more than 50 upvotes, I'll make the Wiggly Elden Ring Lookout Stones explanation video that everyone's been waiting for and no one's figured out yet, not even Zoli the Witch. All due respect. It's literally quantum mechanics. I don't expect people to know this. I just need someone to rename them from abnormal stone towers. Abnormal stone towers. It bothers me. I'm autistic and it bothers me, and I'm going to make a video essay about it. Please subscribe and upvote so I can make a video essay about it and change the wiki without having to change it because I can't figure it out and I'm scared. Anyways, so the point is that in order for me to get through anything, I need to, if you've seen Knives Out, I kind of need to commit to a game, an image. I'm not playing Go to win. I don't play chess to win either. I play to make a pretty picture. And I'm making this video essay by way of introduction to make a pretty image in your mind. And I'd like that image in your mind to be one of what the shape of ableism looks like and why it is that that being neurotypical and neurodivergent is so hard to explain, because we just kind of have it wrapped up in a lot of taboos, don't we? And one of those taboos is gambling. Why do you think we have fetishes? Not even talking about sexual stuff, fetishization, like tech fetishization, you know, even though it's a racist orientalist term, we should make a new one. It's what we got right now. When you worship something that isn't there because you think that worshiping it will make it exist there, you know, like money. Anyways, so the point being, like, information, as I mentioned during this 15 minutes in the elevator, is something that is an energy form. It's that surprisal that I talked about, where if you're not surprised by the outcome, the energy is not released, or rather, you store the energy into it. If someone else was there and surprised by you not being surprised, that's a new outcome beyond them being surprised or them not being surprised. It's quite simple, right? And yet it's so complicated because of its hierarchical emergence, like a Fibonacci stack. Oh, look. We're just about at... Nah, my spider sense was a little early. Sorry. Or maybe that was a 69 joke. Who knows? You'll have to... I don't know. Ask your heart to figure it out. Point being, so, Reagan Arataga shit notwithstanding, that might get me demonetized, but do you really think they're gonna go more than an hour into the video to check? I really don't think so. I'm shooting my shot. Anyways, so the point of this video, if I haven't gotten to it yet, is that it is very difficult for me to even finish one paper, even though I'm quite literate. It might be for you. You may actually find this more entertaining than reading a paper directly. If you do, like and subscribe, and let me know if you'd like any more. Literally, just give me requests, and I'll just read them. I'll read them in my silly way. I promise it'll be extremely silly, and I'll make plenty of errors. It's a promise from me to you. I promise I'll keep every time. And, you can make a wish on that. So, really, just don't worry too much about it. And, just try to strap yourself in for the ride. Let's hope it's not too much longer. Yeah? Also, this is chaptered. Yeah? So, if you're doing this chapter by chapter, and you're doing this the way that I would do it, I applaud you. Thank you for doing it the way that I would do it, frankly. And not doing it the way I recorded it, because I'm making a point about the limits of my brain chemistry. How's that for dramatic irony? And pauses. Figure 1. Experimental design. In each trial, subjects first express a preference for one of 2 cities to travel to, preference phase. They are then told that they have, by mistake, previously paid for non-refundable tickets to both cities, which are sunk costs. In the control condition, the tickets are reasonably priced, and the costs of the 2 tickets are identical. In the sunk cost condition, the ticket price for the non-preferred destination is 50% higher than the ticket price for the preferred destination. A decision maker sufficiently influenced by the sunk costs will switch their choice on the position. This figure depicts the case in which New York is chosen on the preference phase. Table 1. Demographic and clinical characteristics of participants. Control group, N equals 29. AST group, N equals 27. Statistics, P. Age, years. 30.9 plus minus 8.4. 29.2 plus minus 4.2. 0.71. Superscript A. Gender. We're done here. You can read the rest. This is officially where we disagree on their methodology, and how bullshit using IQ and gender as markers are. However, I will say that I have not studied ADOS. I've not studied the Mann-Whitney test. And I do have a reasonable degree of faith in two-tailed chi-squared tests. So, best I got. Correlation is not causation. Do your own research. I'm literally doing research right now for you. And that's still not enough. This is just a primer. However, we are still at a very funny number if you're homestuck like me. So anyways, Figure 2. Behavioral data in the sunk cost effect task. A. Reaction time in the sunk cost and control conditions. The reaction time under the sunk cost condition was significantly shorter in the EST group than in the control group. P is less than 0.01, and no such difference was observed under the control condition, P equals 0.42. Error bars indicate plus minus standard errors. The sunk cost effect score in the control and ASD groups is B. The sunk cost effect score was reduced in the ASD group compared to that within the control group. P is less than 0.01. Figure 3. Sunk cost effect score in the high and low cost trials. A. The difference between the sunk cost effect score in the high and low cost trials was significantly reduced in the ASD group compared with that in the control group. P equals 0.02. Error bars indicate plus minus standard errors. B. A robust two-way mixed ANOVA revealed a significant interaction between group ticket costs. Between group and ticket costs. P equals 0.045. Error bars indicate plus minus standard errors. Discussion. To the best of our knowledge, this is the first study to investigate the sunk cost effect in individuals with ASD. Our results accord with the previous evidence of reduced sensitivity to context stimuli in ASD and extend this observation to the context of the sunk cost effect. A control group exhibited a typical sunk cost effect. Given that an invested sunk cost cannot be recovered, a rational forward-looking decision maker would be expected to ignore sunk costs. However, the experimental sunk cost condition in this study under the experimental sunk cost condition in this study, the control participants frequently, on more than half the occasions on average, chose the option that was considered less enjoyable. Furthermore, the sunk cost effect score was higher in the high cost trials than in the low cost trials. Consistent with our hypothesis, the sunk cost effect was reduced in the ASD group compared to that in the control group. Furthermore, unlike in the control participants, the sunk cost effect score among the participants with the ASD was not increased when larger sunk costs were incurred. Individuals with ASD have frequently been reported to show atypical performance on tasks that require processing of local information independently of its context. For example, individuals with ASD are better at finding figures embedded in complex shapes than our control participants. In addition, individuals with ASD are less affected by the distractors in visual search. Many of these studies focused in perceptual tasks, such as pitch discrimination, visual search, and motion coherence detection, with corresponding theoretical frameworks that emphasize low-level processes, such as enhanced perceptual discrimination. Recently, studies on healthy subjects have shown a substantial overlap in brain activation between perceptual processing and higher-level cognitive processing, such as decision-making and moral judgment. The authors proposed that social cognitive processing abilities depend at least in part on perceptual processing. In line with this notion, recent studies of ASD have shown that the reduced context sensitivity that characterizes ASD can be seen in high-level decision-making tasks. Specifically, DiMartino et al. 2008 and Shaw et al. 2016 examined the framing effect on monetary decisions in individuals with ASD and showed that individuals with ASD are less susceptible to the framing effect and make more consistent choices. In other words, they are immune to the effects, insidious or otherwise, of video essays. Farmer et al. 2017 compared a series of choices regarding consumer products between participants with ASD and controls and showed that participants' preferences between a given pair of options frequently switched when the third item in the set was changed. This tendency was reduced among participants with ASD, thereby indicating more consistent and conventionally rational choices. Taken together, our results are in line with those previous experimental findings and demonstrate that the conventionally more rational responses of individuals with ASD can also be seen in the context of the sunk cost effect. Individuals with ASD often take longer to make decisions. Brosnan et al. 2014, Luke et al. 2012. Interestingly, however, the choice reaction time under the sunk cost condition in our task was significantly shorter in the ASD group than in the control group. The weak central coherence hypothesis is one of the most prominent theories concerning the atypical performance of individuals with ASD on tasks that involve local and global processing. Hoppe and Frith, 2006, Pleisted et al., 2003, and Figure 3b, a robust mixed two-way Alcoa A Nova. In individuals with typical development, a common effect is that the global level of the stimulus dominates responding. A common effect is that the global level of the stimulus dominates responding, with slower and less accurate responses at the lower level. Navon 1977, Pleisted et al. 2003. Come on, Jenny. You can get through the rest. Whew. Although there are mixed findings, a number of recent studies have shown that individuals with ASD can respond to the global level of a hierarchical stimulus in the same way that comparison individuals, Matron and Belleville 1983, Pleisted et al. 1989, 2003, Hoppe and Frith 2006. In addition, under some circumstances, individuals with ASD have been found to show faster and more accurate responses to the local level than comparison individuals. Matron and Belleville 1983, Pleisted et al. 1989, 2003, Hoppe and Frith 2006. In light of these studies, the weak coherence account has recently refined towards an emphasis on superiority in local processing rather than deficit in global processing. Hoppe and Frith 2006, Pleisted et al. 2003. The results of the decision-making task in the study by Farmer et al. 2017 were also in line with these previous findings, and the authors highlight that ASD is characterized by wide-ranging enhancement of or preference for local information processing. Farmer et al. 2017. Although this is speculative, the current results may agree with the recent suggestions and illuminated the positive aspect of the atypical decision-making styles in individuals with ASD. Farmer et al. 2017, Hoppe and Frith 2006, Pleisted et al. 2003. Regarding decision-making in individuals with ASD, Brosnan et al. 2016-2017 applied dual process theory, Evans 2008, Lieberman 2007, and recently proposed a useful framework that reasoning by individuals with ASD can be characterized by reduced intuitive, type 1, and greater reflective, type 2, processing. 1, 24, 10. Previous functional magnetic resonance imaging studies on healthy subjects have revealed that several brain regions, including the medial prefrontal cortex, lateral prefrontal cortex, anterior cingulate cortex, and insula, are involved in decision-making under sunk costs. Fujino et al. 2016b, Haller and Schwab 2014, Zhang et al. 2013, studying the lobe of the brain. It's one of the two that I entered. These areas play key roles in type 1 and type 2 processing, Fujino et al. 2017b, Halson et al. 2018, Lieberman 2007, and have been repeatedly reported to be altered in individuals with ASD, Philip et al. 2012. Future neuroimaging studies, together with a framework proposed by Brosnan et al. 2016-2017, should provide deeper insights into the mechanisms of altered decision-making among individuals with ASD when considering sunk costs. And hopefully, this video will also. The findings of the present study have practical implications on the socioeconomic functioning of individuals with ASD, because the sunk cost effect influences many types of socioeconomic behavior, such as entertainment, investments, management, and interpersonal relations. The sunk cost effect is considered as an irrational behavior according to economic theory, and such a decision bias can lead to severe financial or political consequences, such as continuation of an unprofitable building project, or even a war, Arks and Bloomer, 1985. By providing additional evidence, the present study supports the notion that ASD is not a disability in all respects, Baron-Cohen 2000, Farmer et al. 2017. Elucidating the heterogeneity of symptom expression in ASD is crucial for obtaining a better understanding of the underlying neurobiological mechanisms, as well as for the establishment of precise treatment strategies. Hoppe and Frith, 2006. A behavioral economics approach can help in elucidating existing symptomatology, and or inform the development of new mediating markers and the personalization of treatment. Fujino et al. 2017a, Ruderman et al. 2016, Sharp et al. 2012. In this study, we did not find any significant correlation between the measures related to the sunk cost effect and the severity of clinical symptoms among participants with ASD. However, the distributions of the sunk cost effect score in our task in ASD participants were diverse. Comprehensive measurements with various behavioral economics tools in larger samples would lead to better understanding of the heterogeneity of altered decision-making in ASD. There were several limitations to our study. First, we used a hypothetical choice experiment to understand actual choices under the influence of sunk costs. Although decision-making regarding hypothetical rewards does not necessarily reflect real-life decision-making behavior, the validity of the results of experiments with hypothetical rewards has been reported. Bray et al. 2010, Kang et al. 2011, Losi et al. 2011. Therefore, we consider our findings to be useful in understanding and predicting real choices under the influence of sunk costs. Second, nearly half of our participants with ASD were administered psychotropic medication, thus indicating we cannot exclude the possibility of a medication effect. For example, dopaminergic agents have been reported to influence value-based decision-making, Doya 2008. In addition, previous studies have shown that serotonergic agents have effects on discovering bad decision outcomes and risk-seeking behavior, Rogers 2011. However, the sunk cost effect score of participants with ASD who were not taking psychotropic drugs was also marginally significantly reduced compared with that of the control participants. Third, comorbid anxiety and depression are prevalent in individuals with ASD, Bolter et al. 2014, Luke et al. 2012. However, in this study, we did not quantify the participants' levels of anxiety, depression, or control these variables. Individuals with anxiety depression have been shown to reported to show altered performance in various types of decision-making tasks in clinical groups and following mood induction in non-clinical samples. Blanchett and Richards 2010, Hartley and Phelps 2012, Pulku et al. 2014. In addition, Previous studies have suggested that difficulties by in decision making by individuals with ASD may be exacerbated by higher levels of anxiety and depression. Luke et al. 2012. Therefore, future studies should focus on detailed research on how symptoms of anxiety and depression influence decision making under sunk costs in individuals with ASD. Fourth, our ASD sample consisted of only high-functioning individuals with ASD. Future studies, recruiting a large number of ASD individuals with diverse IQ levels and not taking medication, are needed to replicate and strengthen our findings. Notwithstanding these limitations, the current results extend previous findings by showing that the reduced context sensitivity that characterizes ASD spills over into the context of the sunk cost effect. Our findings will contribute to a better understanding of altered decision-making in individuals with ASD and may be useful in addressing the practical implications of their socioeconomic behavior. Whew. The authors wish to extend their gratitude to the research team of the Medical Institute of Developmental Disabilities Research at Shawa University for their assistance in data acquisition. This work was supported by grants and aid for scientific research. A. 242-43061. C. 17K10326. Young Scientist B. 17K16398. And on innovative areas 231-20009, 16H06572, from the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology of Japan, MEXT, Shenzhen Medical Research Foundation, and Takeda Science Foundation. A part of the study is the result of the Strategic Research Program for Brain Sciences by Agency for Medical Research and Development, JP18DM 0107151. Research and development of technology for enhancing functional recovery of elderly and disabled people based on non-invasive brain imagery and robotics assistive devices. The commissioned research of National Institute of Information and Communications Technology, Japan, and the joint usage research program of Medical Institute of Developmental Disabilities Research, Shawa University. These agencies had no further role in the study design, the collection, analysis, and interpretation of data, the writing of the report, or in the decision to write the paper for publication, nor in making this video essay. And really, this one is about how you should get over your insecurities and just admit that you didn't get that PhD already.
Oh. Okay. Well, that makes this much easier. Thank you. I solved it so easily. Oh, that was a really difficult puzzle, too. Yeah. I don't understand why you haven't subscribed already. Purple. Even when you felt trapped, you took notes and achieved the end of ball. Nah. Now, if you sold it for 50, that'd still be too low. Oh, look. It's a snowdecahedron. Okay. Giesflugbecher. Giesflugfebrecher. 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 Cigars. Skeletons. That's skeletons. I guess I've fallen down. Oh well.
Ha ha ha, yes! Humans must be very intelligent. If they also find Junior Jumble so difficult. Yeah, ha ha ha!
There we go.
Human, please enjoy the spaghetti. Little do you know, the spaghetti is a trap designed to entice you. You'll be so busy eating it, you'll be distracted. It's a tactic of distraction that you won't even realize you aren't progressing. Thoroughly japed again by the great papyrus. Papyrus.
Alright, that's it for the stream. Thank you for coming. I have a little bit less than 20, a little more than 20 seconds. There we go. Thank you, to everyone in the stream, and I will be rating Cherry. Hope you have a lovely night. Happy Halloween. Oh, I can't raid Cherry? What's going on with that? Oh, that makes sense. I guess instead... Just hope you have a good night. Raid who? Okay. Well, we're raiding Sonic Fox. Thank you for coming to the stream. And I hope you have a good night and a happy Halloween.